I'm Terry Rohm with The Grind, and we're talking mouth call basics. You know, a lot of hunters, the mouth call is, to me, it's my go-to because it lets my hands free. I'm not having to use a box. That turkey gets close, I can do little clucks, purrs, whatever to get him, to finish him, to get him to come on in. But basic mouth call information is you have an aluminum frame, which is inside the tape here. You have latex stretched across, and then that latex is stamped, so it's held in place. And then you have the outer tape, which helps seal the air going through the call. It forces the air over the end of the latex to make the yelps and the clucks, the putts, the purrs, whatever you're doing. A lot of hunters get confused with which one's best, and that's really hard for me to sit here and say, hey, use the ghost cut over the bat wing or one of the other fancy cuts. But it's finding the right call that fits you, because every person's roof of their mouth is different, the palate of their mouth. So this frame may not fit me well, but it does somebody else. I may need a wider frame, or some hunters need a narrow frame, but it's finding that right call that fits the roof of your mouth best. And then it's really just getting a sound out of it. If you can get a sound out of it, you can learn to use a mouth call. And the open end of the horseshoe always goes out, and you exhale, you're blowing out. Unlike a trumpet call or a wing bone where you're actually sucking in, with mouth calls you're exhaling, you're blowing out. And what you want to do is put that in top of your tongue, raise it to the roof of your mouth, and just blow out. Try to get a clear, steady tone. That's the first thing I try to do. Once you get that, you can learn the key out. Just drop your jaw. Key out, and then you just learn from there. And then it's just learning the different latexes. Now, you have your like a 3/1000 latex, then you have 4/1000, you have 5/1000. The thicker the latex, the harder that call is to blow. So it's harder to make different calls. It's like for a kiki run, you may want a real thin latex because you want that high-pitched kiki. For your clucks and purrs, you might want a little softer latex or a little more meat to it, so to speak. Gives a little deeper tone. And each one of these cuts, we could take this call, you could use it, I could use it, get totally different sounds. You know, the ghost cut, this is the ghost cut. We could get totally different sounds out of it as individuals. But, again, on the back, that's why at The Grind we put our logo on the top, because that always goes up. A lot of tape don't have no logo on there, and if it don't, you flip it over and there's a little tab on the back, and that tab is meaning to go down. That actually locks the horseshoe and holds the latex in place. But again, just basics, finding the right one that fits you best. I think a good tip for a lot of hunters is don't leave these lay in the dash of your truck, because the sunlight, direct sunlight, will actually melt that latex. It could make it crack, and it's no good. Keep them in a refrigerator. Definitely keeping it in a case. You don't want no dirt getting on them. You don't want them drying out. Keep them in a case. You're not using them. Keep them in a refrigerator. And with multiple reed calls, what happens a lot is that you may be using that call to hunt with, and you put it in your pocket or your hunting vest, and you may not use it for a day or two. Well, what happens is that saliva gets stuck in between those reeds, and then your reeds will get stuck. So now you got to untighten, unstretch those reeds or separate them. Be very careful when you do that. I mean, you can take a plastic toothpick, use the flat end and try to wet it a little bit and just slowly separate them. What you don't want to do is really pull in that latex, because you could pull it away from the frame, you could tear it, and then you might as well just pitch that one. But again, just some basic information on the Grind mouth calls. And like I say, riding to work, put it in your mouth, use it, drive your wife crazy, drive your kids crazy, whoever. But you've got to learn to do it. Just get in there and get after it.